I can be free of suffering today. I can be free of suffering today. Father, I thank you for today and for the freedom I am certain it will bring. Father, I thank you for today and for the freedom I am certain it will bring. This day is holy, for today your Son will be redeemed. His suffering is done. His suffering is done. For he will hear your voice directing him to find Christ's vision. To find Christ's vision through forgiveness and be free forever. To be free forever from all suffering. Thanks for today, my Father. Thanks for today. I was born into this world but to achieve this day and what it holds in joy and freedom for your Holy Son. For your Holy Son and for the world he made, which is released along with him today. I can be free of suffering today. I can be free of suffering today. Be glad today, be glad. Be glad today, be glad. There is no room for anything but joy and thanks today. Our Father has redeemed His Son this day, this day. Not one of us but will be saved today. Not one of us but will be. Not one of us but will be saved today. But will be saved today. Not one who will remain in fear. Not one who will remain in fear. And none the Father will not gather to Himself. Not gather to Himself. And none the Father will not gather to Himself. Awake in heaven. Awake in heaven in the heart of love. In the heart of love. I can be free of suffering today. I can be free of suffering today. I can be free of suffering today. Wow, isn't that a nice thing to know? No matter what you're going through, whether it's physical pain, whether it's mental anguish and pain, or no matter what's going on, you can be free of suffering today. It's just having the right perspective to bring in the miracle. You just need to practice forgiveness and understand what forgiveness is, and then that lays out a firm foundation where a miracle has to come. Therefore, we can say, I can be free of suffering today. Well, thank you all so much for joining me here in my bamboo patch here in the Ozarks. I'm Forgiveness Willie, teaching forgiveness from the Ozarks. And we're ready for lesson 340 for Saturday, December the 6th of 2025. St. Nicholas Day. Also St. Diane's Day. That's just my own personal saint. With my wife, she crossed over on this day in 1992, left me with 6 beautiful little children to take care of, all from the ages of 10 months old to 10 years old. And they all have their own families now and have left home. And, well, they come back now and then. But Anyway, they're all on their own, as well as my stepchildren. Anyway, her name was Diane. I say this is St. Diane's Day. We used was a silent day when the kids were growing up in memory of their mom. We'd spend the day in silence and then sing a song at sunset and have dinner. But we'd have a good portion of the day. I don't know that they all do that anymore, but I still usually on the 6th like to spend at least a little time in the silence in remembrance of her. She was the only person I ever met that never got upset during the times I knew her. I never saw her get mad at me ever one time, and we were married for almost 13 years. So I didn't think it was even possible for a person to go, a week or two without getting upset with somebody, but she tended to be able to do it over and over, year after year. So that's why I call her a Saint Diane. She gave me the motivation to realize that I didn't have to get upset, and I found the answer in A Course in Miracles to learn to practice forgiveness. I can be free of suffering today. Let's read our associated reading, and I don't know, maybe we should take just a minute and read through the lesson. I can be free of suffering today. Father, I thank you for today and for the freedom I am certain it will bring. This day is holy, for today your Son will be redeemed. His suffering is done, for he will hear your voice directing him to find Christ's vision through forgiveness and be free forever from all suffering. Thanks for today, my Father. I was born into this world but to achieve this day and what it holds in joy and freedom for your holy Son and for the world he made, which is released along with him today. Be glad today, be glad. There is no room for anything but joy and thanks today. Our Father has redeemed his Son this day. Not one of us but will be saved today. Not one who will remain in fear, and none the Father will not gather to himself. Awake in heaven, in the heart of love. What is the ego? Back a page or two. And let me remind you, on that lesson we just read, to spend a meditation in the morning and again in the evening, as long as you'd like, being still and quiet, and then have a little still and quiet moment every hour of the day today, where you ask God for some direction, check in, be sure you're feeling joy, make sure that you're not suffering as you say, I can be free of suffering today. And then conclude again in the evening with a longer quiet time. I will not hurt myself again today. Oh, that was last week, 10 days ago. On that next page past that, what is the ego? Number 12. The ego is idolatry, the sign of limited and separated self, born in a body and doomed to suffer and to end its life in death. It is the will that sees the will of God as enemy and takes a form in which it is denied. The ego is the proof that strength is weak and love is fearful, life is really death, and what opposes God alone is true. The ego is insane. In fear it stands beyond the everywhere, apart from all, in separation from the infinite. In its insanity it thinks it has become a victor over God himself. And in its terrible autonomy, it sees the will of God has been destroyed. It dreams of punishment and trembles at the figures in its dreams, its enemies who seek to murder it before it can ensure its safety by attacking them. The Son of God is egoless. What can he know of madness and the death of God when he abides in him? What can he know of sorrow and of suffering when he lives in eternal joy? What can he know of fear and punishment, of sin and guilt, of hatred and attack, when all there is surrounding him is everlasting peace, forever conflict-free and undisturbed, in deepest silence and tranquility? To know reality is not to see the ego and its thoughts, its works, its acts, its laws, and its beliefs, its dreams, its hopes, its plans for its salvation, and the cost belief in it entails. In suffering, the price for faith in it is so immense that crucifixion of the Son of God is offered daily at its darkened shrine, and blood must flow before the altar where its sickly followers prepare to die. Yet will one lily of forgiveness change the darkness into light, the altar to illusions, to the shrine of life itself. And peace will be restored forever to the holy minds which God created as His Son, His dwelling place, His joy, His love, completely His, completely one with Him. And let's take a look now at our psychotherapy purpose, process, and practice reading. Now, if you're following along out of Foundation for Inner Peace version, then you're following along with what I'm reading out of. If you are using the original edition, you won't find this. You'll find the other two readings, but you can find it online at acim.org. So let's take a look at Psychotherapy, Purpose, Process, and Practice. Chapter 2, the process of psychotherapy, Roman numeral 6, the definition of healing. The process of psychotherapy, then, can be defined simply as forgiveness, for no healing can be anything else. Well, there you go. The process of psychotherapy, then, can be defined simply as forgiveness, for no healing can be anything else. I almost feel like we ought to stop and read paragraph 8 again on the last section. Let us stand silently before God's will and do what it has chosen that we do. There is one way alone by which we come to where all dreams began, and it is there that we will lay them down and come away in peace forever. And how is that? Hear a brother call for help and answer him. It will be God to whom you answer, for you called on Him. There is no other way to hear His voice. You want to hear God's voice? Well, then help your brother who's with you. There is no other way to seek His Son. There is no other way to find yourself. Holy is healing, for the Son of God returns to heaven through its kind embrace. For healing tells him in the voice for God that all his sins have been forgiven him. Now, the process of psychotherapy then can be defined simply as forgiveness, for no healing can be anything else. That's our first sentence in our today's reading, the definition of healing. The process of psychotherapy then can be defined simply as forgiveness, for no healing can be anything else. The unforgiving are sick, believing they are unforgiven. The hanging on to guilt, its hugging close and sheltering, its loving protection. Now, I'm trying to get my page turned. Let's read. The hanging on to guilt, its hugging close and sheltering, its loving protection and alert defense, all this is but the grim refusal to forgive. The grim refusal to forgive. To forgive, God may not enter here. God may not enter here. The sick repeat over and over while they mourn their loss and yet rejoice in it. Healing occurs as a patient begins to hear the dirge he sings and questions its validity. Until he hears it, he cannot understand that it is he who sings it to himself. To hear it is the first step in recovery. To question it must then become his choice. Paragraph 2. There is a tendency, and it is very strong, to hear this song of death only an instant, and then dismiss it uncorrected. These fleeting awarenesses represent the many opportunities given us, literally, to change our tune. The sound of healing can be heard instead. But first, the willingness to question the truth of the song of condemnation must arise. That's why our book starts off, the very first lesson is, nothing I see in this place means anything. We've got to have an open mind to question what we've been dismissing. But first, the willingness to question the truth of the song of condemnation must arise. the strange distortions woven inextricably into the self-concept, itself but a pseudo-creation, make this ugly sound seem truly beautiful. The rhythm of the universe, the herald angel song, all these and more are heard instead of loud, discordant shrieks. Paragraph 3. You got to be willing to hear it, though. Paragraph 3. The ear translates, it does not hear. The eye reproduces, it does not see. Their task is to make agreeable whatever is called on, however disagreeable it may be. They answer the decisions of the mind, reproducing its desires and translating them into acceptable and pleasant forms. Sometimes the thought behind the form breaks through, but only very briefly, and the mind grows fearful and begins to doubt its sanity. Yet it will not permit its slaves to change the forms they look upon, the sounds they hear. These are its remedies, its safeguards from insanity. These are its remedies, its safeguards from insanity. Of course, remedies and safeguards are in quotes because they're really not remedies. They're only remedies in the ego's mind, which sees everything upside down and backwards. Paragraph 4. These testimonies, which the senses bring, have but one purpose: to justify attack, and thus keep unforgiveness unrecognized for what it is. Seen undisguised, it is intolerable. Without protection, it could not endure. Here is all sickness cherished, but without the recognition that this is so. For when an unforgiveness is not recognized, the form it takes seems to be something else. And now it is the something else that seems to terrify. But it is not the something else that can be healed. It is not sick and needs no remedy. To concentrate your healing efforts here is but futility. Who can cure what cannot be sick and make it well? Paragraph 5. Sickness takes many forms, and so does unforgiveness. The forms of one but reproduce the forms of the other, for they are the same illusion. So closely is one translated into the other that a careful study of the form of sickness will point quite clearly to the form of unforgiveness that it represents. So that's why we want to take those quiet times each day to look and see, okay, we got a little ailment going, we got a little sickness going, we got a little pain going, we got a little suffering going. So we got to look close enough to see what unforgiveness is at the root of it and change that. Because look what he says. He goes on, he says, yet seeing this will not affect the cure. Just to see the unforgiveness is not enough. It's almost enough, but there's one more thing you got to do. That is achieved by only one recognition that only forgiveness heals an unforgiveness, and only an unforgiveness can possibly give rise to sickness of any kind. So you now have to let go of the unforgiveness, change the condemnation into peace, into acceptance, into love, into forgiveness. Recognizing what you thought your brother did to you has not occurred. Okay, paragraph 6. This realization is the final goal of psychotherapy. How is it reached? The therapist sees in the patient all that he has not forgiven in himself, and is thus given another chance to look at it, open it to reevaluation, and forgive it. When this occurs, he sees his sins as gone into a past that is no longer here. Until he does this, he must think of evil as besetting him here and now. The patient is his screen for the projection of his sins, enabling him to let them go. Let him retain one spot of sin in what he looks upon, and his release is partial and will not be sure. And the last paragraph, 7. No one is healed alone. No one is healed alone. This is the joyous song salvation sings to all who hear its voice. This statement cannot be too often remembered by all who see themselves as therapists. Okay, are you a therapist or a teacher of God? No one is healed alone. He says that can't be too often remembered. No one is healed alone. This is the joyous song salvation sings to all who hear its voice. This statement cannot be too often remembered by all who see themselves as therapists. Their patients can but be seen as the bringers of forgiveness, for it is they who come to demonstrate their sinlessness to eyes that still believe that sin is there to look upon. Yet will the proof of sinlessness, seen in the patient and accepted in the therapist, offer the mind of both a covenant in which they meet and join and are as one. Well, we're going to see our sinlessness when we see our brothers and sisters' sinlessness, the ones that we've reached over to help. We get to look at their sins as if they were our own and see them as innocent as we want to see ourselves as innocent. And they're healed along with us. Or should I say we're healed along with them. Okay. Let's see. I can be free of suffering today. Okay, let's take a look at, I said it was St. Nicholas Day, and like I said, it's the day that in 1992 that my wife, Carolyn Diane Perkins, made her crossing. Advent, for you Catholic and Christian folks that celebrate Advent. And then for the Orthodox Christians, it's Nativity fast continues. And then for the Buddhists, it's Mahaparinirvan, I think, which is the Buddhist Day of Remembrance. It was the day that the Buddha came into full enlightenment. And then out of holidays and observances, there's quite a list here. Bike Shop Day, Global Fat Bike Day, Coats and Toys for Kids Day, Greenwood Day, which is in Farmington, Maine, and where Chester, I think his name was Chester Greenwood, invented the earmuffs in 1873. And so it's also Earmuffs Day. Mitten Tree Day, Microwave Oven Day, Miners Day, Gazpacho Day, which is a Spanish-style tomato veggie soup served cold. Pawnbrokers Day, Play Outside Day, Rhubarb Vodka Day, and of course vodka is made with usually potatoes, but I understand they make it with grains too, which is just a fermented, it's been fermented and then distilled. But rhubarb, the main variety that we eat is the Rheum hybridum. The Rheum hybridum. Anyway, rhubarb. Rhubarb Vodka Day. Put on your own shoes day. Hey, teaching some kids days. They teach them to put on their own shoes. Skywarn Recognition Day, which is a day to recognize volunteer weather spotters, looking for tornadoes and whatnot. And World Pear Day. And there's the Asian and the Chinese pears, but they all originated in the mountains of southwestern China. And then out of Seed Savers Exchange, we've got the bull's blood beet. And it says of the bull's blood beet, it's a Beta vulgaris. And it says of the bull's blood, a cool weather plant that is as ornamental as it is tasty. This purple foliage variety can be used to produce 2 great crops for eating. The deliciously sweet leaves are perfect for adding to salads, but the variety can also be grown for its delectable baby roots. We suggest picking the leaves at about 35 days Selected by Dutch seedsman and Seed Savers Exchange member Kees Sayen in 1986 from the French variety Crapotin for the darkest colored leaves. 35 days for baby leaf tops, 55 days for edible roots, and for more mature greens. You can eat the greens when the roots are full grown too. You just got to cook them a little longer than the baby green style. Okay, how we looking? Oh, we're looking good on time. Ready? Let's close with our song. I can be free of suffering today. Make sure you are free. Use all those sufferings for opportunities to find forgiveness. I can be free of suffering today. I can be free of suffering today. Father, I thank you for today and for the freedom I am certain it will bring. This day is holy, for today your Son will be redeemed. His suffering is done. His suffering is done. For he will hear your voice directing him to find Christ's vision. To find Christ's vision through forgiveness and be free forever from all suffering. Thanks for today, my Father, thanks for today. I was born into this world but to achieve this day, and what it holds in joy and freedom for your holy Son, and for the world he made, which is released along with him today. I can be free of suffering today. I can be free of suffering today. Be glad today, be glad. Be glad today, be glad. There is no room for anything but joy and thanks today. Our Father has redeemed His Son this day. Not one of us but will be saved today. Not one who will remain in fear, and none the Father will not gather to Himself, and none the Father will not gather to Himself. Awake in heaven, awake in heaven, and the heart of love. Awake in heaven, in the heart of love. I can be free of suffering today. I can be free of suffering today. I can be free of suffering today. Hey, and our word for peace is Santi, from the Punjabi people of India, northern India, and also into Pakistan. The Punjab region is the 5 rivers that make the Punjab, which the word Punjab means the 5 rivers, are the Jhelum, the Chenab, the Ravi, the Sutlej, and the Beet. Anyway, Santi be with you. I can be free of suffering today. Be sure that you're free of suffering. Anything at all that even tiny bit causes discomfort is an unforgiveness that you need to look at closely and let go of. So today, let yourself be free of all pain. I can be free of suffering today. Santi.